Hello everybody, welcome back. This is hopefully going to be a quick video, and JJ Rutten, or Rutten, however you say his last name, provided a 3D file to print these drop spring perches. I know a lot of people take their spring perches off to lower the vehicle. Well, I don't like that idea. I think I don't know, I just don't think it's good to take stuff off of the vehicle. Anyway, I wanted to have it because real trucks have it, so this one's going to have it too. Also, I've stacked up a row of quarters under here. I'm going to measure how tall that is, and that just barely clears the frame. You see that? And that is my ride height at the frame. I'm going to compare that to one of my 110 crawlers and just kind of get a baseline here. And then we'll find out what the ride height is after swapping this out. It currently climbs at 59 degrees, so I'll see if I can't get the 60 that I wanted through these drop perches. I may have to do some type of a shock limiter, and I've got an idea on how to do that, but that's for the next video. Right now we're just going to take a few measurements. And stock ride height is 55.5 millimeters by measuring this entire stack of quarters with the micrometer, or calipers actually. So I'll count out how many quarters that is. That is a grand total of 33. I also thought I'd check out the diff clearance here, and want to make sure it can roll over this stack just fine. And now it is. And there's just a little gap there beneath it, not much, but now it's clearly clearing it. So I'll measure out how many that is, and then use the sciencey tool and figure out how thick that is. Alright, clearance at the diff with my configuration with that massive amount of brass and 3.85 rubber tires came out to be 23 quarters at 39.1 millimeters. And I'm going to take a 10 scale measurement real quick just to get a baseline for what this monstrosity actually has going for it. And this is the bottom of my Red Cat Gen 7. As you can tell, it's not exactly stock anymore. I've got that one under the belly of the beast right now. My Gen 7 just came in at 34 quarters, so it's literally essentially the same. The difference in ride height at the skid plate between the 118 Capra and my 110 scale Gen 7 is that much. That is nothing. Literally, what's it gotta be? Let's find out how thick a quarter is. 1.6 millimeter difference, so it's 57 millimeters at skid plate as opposed to 55. We'll check the diffs. That is the front, just barely clears it, and I'm going to measure that. But just a note, I've measured these axles on the front axle, which is the heavy side, and they have maximum amount of tire compression because, like I said, that's the heavy side and it's just going to compress the foams the most. So I'll count these out and measure it, see what we get for diff clearance on the front of my 10 scale. So you can see it's kind of a crude way of measuring it, but there's not a whole lot of difference between the 18 scale and the 10 scale. I know it's not a true 18 scale, but I don't care. Skid plate height is exactly the same for the most part, 1/4 different. And the difference mainly, I've got 4.75 tires as opposed to the 3.85s. Tire height was the main difference here. And we're getting about 6.6 millimeters of more diff clearance. That's the only difference between the two as far as the diff. This is a better angle at it. this is a 4.75 tire. This is a 3.85 tire. I have the same exact 1.9 rim in the middle, and the difference in diff height, like I said, was only about 6.6 millimeters. These are the two spring Purches. This is the stock one, and this is the one that JJ has designed. And I've gone ahead and took the stock one off the right side here, just so I could compare it to the left side. And you can see that the bottom of the spring, its stock, is in this position, and it's up quite a bit higher than the bottom of the spring on JJ Spring Perch. And I'll include a link to that in the description, but I'm betting that's going to lower it probably. Well, we'll find out. Now, I'm not going to lose these stock ones because it depends on where I drive is going to determine which ones I want to use. So if I'm on a lot of rugged terrain that's just real, you know, bouldery, like what you've seen me do at ACP1, I'm probably still going to want this thing to have the ground clearance, because that is a ground clearance game out there. And if I go to Red Rock, out at Red Rock, there's not as much terrain to clear, but it's much steeper. So we're going to find out how steep these will climb. As you can see, you don't need any special tools to change this out. You just got to pull them off and stick the other one on. These are going to go in a bag for now, and I'll keep track of those. Only thing left to do is to see where this sits. I'll let the chassis sort of settle with the battery in it, and we'll take another height measurement. Alright, let's see what that is. Well, I got a surprising number of quarters here at 32, and before I put the spring Purches on, it was at 33. So the way I can only explain this is the shocks themselves must have a charge in them that keeps the ride height up high. So effectively, if that is the truth, I have essentially lowered the spring rate, which will give it a little bit more articulation, as far as easier articulation, maybe not more, but easier, because I have no preload on the springs. And I'm just really surprised by that. It won't do anything to stop the chassis from unloading while climbing, but let's go take it over the board and see how the board killer does with the new drop Purches. We got it right there at 63 degrees. Let's see how it does. I did climb it at 63, not very far, but let's see if I can be more gentle. It does climb at 63, but just. Now, if I wanted to, I mean, if I was out in nature and there was a smooth transition, as long as I had momentum, I could probably do well above 63, but that's going to be tire limited and momentum limited and some other things. But 62 plus is what I'm going to call my rig capable of doing.